covering all your local high school football games with highlights and scores. Now, Football Friday, brought to you by Alabama Credit Union.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Gary Harris. Welcome into Week 9 of the high school football season. Week 10 of WVUA 23's Football Friday, presented by Alabama Credit Union. Visit alabamacu.com to learn more. Alabama Credit Union, loans for real life. Well, Football Friday again this year is an hour, and we've got highlights tonight. We're still working on it. I think 14, 15 games somewhere in there for you. Plus our complete Football Friday high school scoreboard, presented by Beulah Baptist Church, our Football Friday Band of the Week, our premier service company, Abby Award-winning Outside the Huddle feature, recruiting tales around the SEC, and more. And we begin, as always, with our Watley Health Services Game of the Week.
Now, the Game of the Week, brought to you by Watley Health Services.
Let's go down to Greensboro. Thomasville and Greensboro playing for a spot in the Class 3A state playoffs. The winner goes, the loser stays at home. Thomasville gets on the board first as Hunter Norwood takes it across from 3 yards out to make it 7-0. Next possession, quarterback Christian Draper connects with Wendell Cheeseboro for a 37-yard touchdown pass, and Thomasville on the road up 14-0. The Tigers in control in this one against the Raiders. Second quarter, Draper looking for Cheeseboro again, but this time Raiders defense is up to the task as they get the interception as Jamarian Dudley gets the pick. But the Raiders, when they got it back, they weren't able to do anything with it, and here comes the Tigers again. Norwood gets it in from 22 yards out. All Thomasville tonight. Greensboro's made a lot of improvement, but they're not able to get in the playoffs. Let's check out the final as Thomasville wins it 50-16. And disappointment tonight for the Raiders, but I will tell you, this program is going in the right direction. They came within a win of the state playoffs, but it was not to be as Thomasville takes it in our Game of the Week. We'll have more analysis from this one coming up later on in the show. All right, let's keep the highlights rolling. 7A Region 3, Hillcrest hosting Oak Mountain. Hillcrest out of the playoff chase, but looking for a winning record. A win tonight will put them at 6-4 in Class 7A. First quarter, Oak Mountain trying to cut into a deficit. Hillcrest on top, but Vaccarella, the outstanding quarterback, finds Case and Lemons. 18-10, Hillcrest still on top, but here comes Oak Mountain again. Vaccarella finds Isaac Booth for a first down, keeping the drive alive. Then on 3rd and goal, the Patriots, though, read this one well and force a 4th and goal with 1 second left in the half. So Oak Mountain goes for it, and Vaccarella comes through again, finding Joey Carbone in the end zone to make it 18-7 Hillcrest at the half. First drive of the second half, Hillcrest quarterback Jordan Shamley pump fakes, then scrambles, has Green in front of him, and he's gone. Patriots extend their lead to 25-17. This one would come down to the final play of the game as Hillcrest scored on the Oak Mountain scored on the final play of the game, but Hillcrest stopped the 2-point conversion. And as we check out the final, it was Hillcrest getting the win as they stop a 2-point conversion after Oak Mountain scored on the final play of the game. So Hillcrest does indeed get that winning record at 6-4, and they didn't make the playoffs in 7A, but they had a good season. You know, lost a tough one last week to Prattville, but come back with a win tonight to close out the regular season because they are on bye next week. So Hillcrest finishes the season at 6-4. 7A Region 3, Thompson looking to win another region championship, but they'd have to win tonight at Prattville, and that's never easy. Class 7A Region 3 up for grabs. First quarter, Prattville in the red zone. 3rd and 8, Will McKay throws to Ethan Hatcher, and it's Lions on top of the Warriors, 7-0. Second quarter, Alabama commit Trent Seaborn, beautiful ball to Price Lewis. He's wide open. He makes the easy catch. Thompson led 14-7 at the break. Third quarter, Seaborn again looking to make a play down the field, but Prattville's defender, Damian Dickerson, sniffs it out. He gets the pick, and Prattville's got the ball. Third quarter, Lions up 15-14. Prattville pinned deep, and Thompson makes some play. Terry Robinson tackles Tristan Blackman for a loss. And in the fourth quarter, Seaborn is going to hand it off to Uriah Casey, who is going to get it into the end zone. Thompson takes a 22-15 lead in the fourth. And the Warriors go on to post the victory as they add another touchdown, a little insurance, to win it 29-15. And Thompson, it hasn't been easy this year, but they win the region championship again, and they'll be the #1 seed out of 7A Region 3 when the state playoffs get underway in 2 weeks. 4A Region 4 here in Tuscaloosa, Holt at American Christian Academy. Holt has had a really good year under Brian Newton, but ACA is playoff bound, and ACA starts off hot. Drew Jackson hits Logan Morris, and the screen turns into a 61-yard touchdown as the Pats go up 7-0. 14-0 now, and Holt responds. Isaiah Samuel on the slant finds his receiver, and he's going to get it into the end zone. 14-6, Holt's on the board. ACA, though, would grab the momentum in this one on defense. Holt looking to strike again through the air, but Caleb Hines reads the quarterback's eyes, jumps the route, and he is going to take it to the house. ACA leads 28-6, and they go on to win it tonight 63-34. Yeah, that's 97 points if you're keeping count. The Patriots over the Ironmen in a high-scoring affair tonight in Tuscaloosa. Class 6A Region 4, Paul Bryant at Brookwood. Senior night for the Panthers, and they wanted to celebrate, trying to pick up their 3rd win of the season, which would be 3 more than they had last year. 4th down conversion, and Brookwood gets it, so they get the ball into field goal range and convert on a 40-yard attempt to go up 3-0. Panthers over the Stampede. Brookwood defense contributing as well as they bottle up the running back and get on the football when it pops loose. Second quarter now. And you're going to see a touchdown run here by Riley. Now, he grabs his ankle. He gets the touchdown, but he would return to the game, so that's good news. The Brookwood defense flying around. Christian Gibson makes a huge play right there, and then the special teams step up as well. Keldon Tinkerhays blocks the field goal attempt by the Stampede. Brookwood led 10-0 at the half, and the Panthers go on to post the victory tonight. A lot of teams out there, 20-0. So Brookwood wins its 3rd game of the year. It's been a tough year for Kristen Jones and the Stampede, but they hung tough tonight but fall 20-0. Well, the action has already been hot and heavy this evening, but it will heat up even more with Hoover at Vestavia, and Tuscaloosa Academy welcome Coosa Christian to town tonight. The Conquerors are led by arguably the most well-known high school coach in the country, Russ Probst. He was in T-Town. We've got it for you when Football Friday returns here on WVUA 23. Thompson cheerleaders celebrating that region championship welcome us back into Football Friday on WVUA 23. I'm Gary Harris. Now, there are a lot of high school football coaches in this country, obviously, but there are very few that are as well known as Russ Probst. If you're a high school football fan, you more than likely know who he is. And he's back on the sidelines this season at Coosa Christian in Gadsden. And tonight, the Conquerors visited T-Town to play the Tuscaloosa Academy Knights, two of the best teams in Class 2A. Coosa at 7-2 and TA at 7-1. Let's get out there to the game, and there are the two head coaches, Russ Probst and Josh Wright, visiting before the game. And these are two really good 2A teams, not in the same region, but they could meet in the playoffs. First quarter, Coosa on the move. Hand off to Kylan Johnson. He's going to find a gap, and he's going to turn on the speed. 55-yard touchdown. Conquerors go up 7-0. TA gets the ball back and responds with their outstanding junior quarterback, Mark Norris. He keeps it himself, gets it into the end zone, but the Knights would miss the PAT at 7-6. Second quarter now, TA punt is blocked by Hale Palmer. If you know anything about Russ Probst, you know special teams are important to him, and that leads to Mac Long with the quarterback keeper punching it across, and it's 21-6 now. Coosa Christian, you can't allow mistakes in the kicking game when you're playing a Russ Probst team. Later in the second quarter, Norris launches it and finds Mason Quarter wide open. 2-point conversion was good. We got ourselves a ball game. It's 21-14 at this point. But in the second half, Coosa would pull away As we check out the final, the Conquerors conquer the Knights tonight, 56-21. And this Coosa Christian team with Russ Probst is certainly a threat to win a 2A state championship, but don't dismiss Tuscaloosa Academy either. All right, Hoover at Vestavia, longtime rivals, 7A Region 3. This was a heck of a ball game. Hoover, the visiting team. And let's get to the highlights. The Bucs strike the first blow, already up 3-0. Hoover quarterback Caleb Freeman with a perfect spiral right into the hands of Jeremiah Tabb. 16-yard touchdown, 10-0. Vestavia would wake up, however. Big bruising quarterback Charlie Taft gets in from a yard out, and it's a one-score game. Hoover 10, Vestavia 8 after a successful two-point conversion. Now, this has to be one of the plays of the season for the Bucs. Freeman's leg is being held on to when he uncorks it deep to Jonah Winston, the Florida State commitment, younger brother of Jameis Winston, for the touchdown, 17-8. But under 5 minutes to go in the half, and here come the Rebels right back. Noah Boylan, and it's 17-15 after a change in possession. Here go the Bucs again. Freeman gets it across as he finds Hunter Purdue with the football, 65-yard touchdown, 24-15. Bucs had the lead at the half, 24-18, but it is Vestavia coming from behind and clinching a playoff spot as they win it 39-30. Huge win for the Rebels, and great football game tonight over in Vestavia Hills. Vestavia over the Hoover Bucs. 39-30 is that final tonight. Well, Hale County hosting Dallas County. But before the game, a moment of silence was held for 16-year-old Slade Colcom, who passed away Sunday after hit by a car. They also honored Kristen Lee, a Hale County student, hospitalized after a separate car accident. So hearts are heavy there at Hale County. As for the football game, Dallas County's offense can't get much going against that Hale County defense. Russell Lindsay gets sacked. Hale County's offense struggling too. Kavion Ryan's unable to find any rhythm against the D, but then a spark from the freshman quarterback Marcus Bryant Jr. as he leads them on a drive using his legs and finding running room down the sideline. They get it into the red zone, and Brandon Lockwood comes through for the Wildcats as he gets the touchdown, and Hale County goes on to win this one. Going away tonight, 33-0. The Wildcats get the shutout. And again, hearts heavy down in Manville this evening, but they do get a big win tonight over Dallas County. 1-7 Carbon Hill at 7-1 Gordo. Homecoming for the Greenwave, and 1-7, 7-1. This one about like you would expect it to. Macon Robertson gets it into the end zone. Gordo scores early and often in this one. And then it's Ryder Robertson taking the snap, rolling to his right, and finding Caden Brock. And Brock is going to bulldoze his way into the end zone for another Greenwave score. And then again, it's back in Robertson, calling his own number. There he goes. He blows by Kidman Cooley and scores his second touchdown of the night. And this one is all Gordo. Again, a 7-1 team versus a 1-7 team. You can kind of see the handwriting on the wall, and the Greenwave just bigger, stronger, faster tonight. Look at this play coming right into your living room. Let's check out the final. 61-25, all Gordo tonight over Carbon Hill. Well, much more to come on Football Friday, including a trip around the SEC. But up next, more high school highlights. Aliceville traveled to Sulligent, and we've got it for you on WVUA 23's Football Friday. We'll be right back. The Hillcrest cheerleaders celebrating a big win tonight, too. What a ball game between the Patriots and the Oak Mountain Eagles tonight, won by Hillcrest, as we saw earlier. All right, welcome back to Football Friday on WVUA 23. I'm Gary Harris. Let's get right back to our highlights. 2A Region 5, Aliceville at Sulligent tonight. And in the first quarter, Sulligent's outstanding quarterback, number 5, John Will Spruill, is dangerous when he takes the snap and just decides he's going to pull it down and run. Because quite frankly, he's a better athlete than most of the guys trying to tackle him. That's a first down. 3rd and go now for Sulligett. And, well, actually, that's not a 3rd and goal. That's Spruill hitting a pass. Now we got a 3rd and goal. And Sulligett trying to make a play, but the ball's going to pop out. And Aliceville would recover that fumble. Aliceville trying to get something going on offense, but that Sulligett defense was up to the task as they forced the loss. In fact, that's a safety. 2 points for the Sulligett defense. And as we check out the final tonight, Sulligett at home gets the win over the Aliceville Yellow Jackets, 40-22, that final from up in Sulligett tonight. Isabella at Lamar County, 2A Region 5 action. Good football weather tonight. Not cold, but at least seasonable. Second quarter, Isabel quarterback number 2, Levi Wilkins, finds number 15, A.J. Felstad. And he is going to get a big gain, then gets ankle tackled. But it was 4th and down. They go for it. Wilkins throws to Jordan Hines. And not only do they get the first down, they get the touchdown. 14-7 the score. Lamar County now, quarterback Hunter Gallup attempting the pass down the field, but it is picked off. However, defensive pass interference gives Lamar County a first down, and on the very next play, Gallup is going to throw, and this time he won't get bailed out by a pass interference as it is picked off. And as we check out the final tonight from over in Vernon, it is Isabella beating Lamar County 30-7 is the final score. Leeds at Pelham, 5A, 6A matchup. Leeds the 5A school, Pelham the 6A school. Greenwave's opening drive, Sam Lawler looking to throw, but big man Joseph Hampton gets himself a quarterback sack for the Panthers. Pelham's offense delivers a big play on a touchdown to start the night. Jonathan Hampton to Marcus Arnold in the end zone. The Panthers get the TD and the lead, 7-0. Now Lawler for Leeds. The ball is taken away by Pelham. And into the first quarter, the Panthers have it on the 1-yard line, and Tristan Rutledge up the middle for the touchdown. Pelham on top, 14-0 over Leeds. Now let's get to the score, and we will see that Pelham hangs on to get the win. I know it's 6A versus 5A, but Leeds, if you know high school football in this state, you know they're a very good team. So that's a nice win for Pelham tonight as they get a win over the Greenwave at home, 21-14. Susan Moore at Cleveland. And again, tragedy tonight for high school football games as cheerleader Kimber Mills passed away earlier this week. So moment of silence there too. Heavy hearts again. But they did play football. Sam Garrison short run for a touchdown for Susan Moore. And that made it 15-8. Sam Garrison here gets it in for another TD, 23-8. And then it's Garrison again as he was putting on a show. And he's gone. 31-13 in the second quarter. Let's check out the scoreboard. And it was Susan Moore. After leading 31-13, they pile up 54 and beat the home team tonight, 54-28, the final score. All right, let's check out North River Christian tonight at home against the Trinity Christian Eagles. And we've talked a lot about the Chargers this year, playing a lot of young players, a lot of 8th and 9th graders. Been a tough year. Trinity Christian strikes first. Nate Riddle with the touchdown to make it 7-0. 3 and out from the Chargers puts the ball back in the hands of Trinity, and William Dooley just hands it off to Elijah Pitt, and he is going to make a house call, 43 yards for the touchdown. And this was kind of the way this game went all night long. Eagles with the ball again. And Roy Washburn is going to punch it in to make it 21-0. And Trinity Christian goes on to get the win. As I'm not making excuses, I'm just stating a fact. North River Christian playing a lot of 9th graders, 10th graders, so good or better times down the road. But another tough night here tonight in Tuscaloosa for the Chargers. 48-0, the final score. All right, that's going to do it for our high school highlights, but we still have much more to do here, including a trip around the Southeastern Conference. And our Abby Award-winning Outside the Huddle feature. But next, time to check in on the other scores from a busy Friday night as the regular season is winding down. Next week, we will wrap up regular season play. 2 weeks from now, we'll start the playoffs. We'll have your score presented by Beulah Baptist Church when we come back to Football Friday on WVUA 23. Way to go, Bibb County Marching Band, cranking out Metallica Enter Sandman. Great job by our Band of the Week. And welcome back to Football Friday on WVUA 23. It's time now to check in on some other scores from across Alabama. So we turn our attention to the Beulah Baptist Church Football Friday scoreboard. Let's go. It was Central tonight. Big win on the road at Hueytown in Class 6A Region 4. Hey, the Falcons are going to the playoffs, and they beat the Golden Gophers tonight, 37-21. I'll tell you, this Northside team, unbeaten. Northside will be our game of the week next week. They go down to Demopolis and beat the Tigers 48-14. And let me tell you something. When you go to Demop and put a whipping on that, like that on the Tigers, you're a good football team. This Northside team is special. 48-14. Again, they'll be featured next week in our game of the week. Hewitt-Trussville over Tuscaloosa County High tonight, 49-7. It was Pleasant Grove. This is a wild one. Wow. 49-46, and I tell you what, now Bibb County loses. I don't know if that opens it up or not for ACA to win the region championship. I'll have to check on that, but that was a costly loss tonight for the Choctaws. It was Bryant over Berry, 48-8. That's not correct. Berry wins that one, 48-8. Berry over Bryant. We got that score flip-flop. 48-8 the final. Berry the winner, so don't pay attention to what you see there on your screen. Hamilton wins at Fayette County, 38-21. It was Vincent over Greene County tonight, 38-8. South Lamar outscores Lynn, 46-34. Sipsey Valley on the road, huge win for the Bears over Selma tonight, 41-38. And West Blockton gets a big road win, shutting out Tarrant, 14-0 in the final. It was Marion County all over Pickens County, 54-12. Pickens Academy, this was on Thursday night, beat Francis Marion 28-12 the final. Winfield over Vinemont, 47-7. University Charter out of Livingston wins at Linden, 14-6. Wilcox Central and Sumter Central, 98 points. Sumter Central, though, got 60 of them. They win at 60-38. And Choctaw County shuts out R.C. Hatch, 50-0 the final. It was Good Hope winning at Dora by 20, and Bessemer City wins at McAdory. Boy, 6A Region 4 is so competitive, 21-14 the final in that one. Also tonight, Spain Park shuts out Chilton County, 49-0. Mountain Brook over Shades Valley, 34-7. It was Pell City and Central Clay County in a defensive slugfest. Central Clay County wins at 6-3. Calera over Helena, 39-21. And that is our complete Football Friday scoreboard, but we aren't done with high school football, because when we come back, Football Friday's Jalen Prince is going to join me after covering the Greensboro-Thomasville game for in-depth analysis on our game of the week. Greensboro hoping to get into the playoffs. They come up short tonight. We'll break it down for you next on Football Friday.
We are the ACA cheerleaders, and we love Football Fridays
on WVUA 23. Go Patriots!
We are back on Football Friday, presented by Alabama Credit Union. I'm Gary Harris, joined now by WVUA 23's Jalen Prince, who covered our Watley Health Services game of the week between Greensboro and Thomasville. The final spot in Class 3A Region 3 for the playoffs was on the line. And Jalen, what a job Deion Washington does at Greensboro. When he got there, man, they weren't winning very much. And now this year, they're playing for a spot in the playoffs tonight. But Thomasville, if you follow high school football in this state, you know they've got a lot of tradition. And Greensboro battled hard, but in the end, 50-16, Thomasville just too much.
This game was based on execution, point blank period. You could see they were giving everything that they had, try to work as hard as they could, but Thomasville just out executed Greensboro. It's really that simple on that standpoint. You give Cheeseboro Jr. a big play on the second touchdown. Norwood was able to gain had at least about 5, maybe 6 yards per carry on that drive. It was about execution, and the execution side was more on Thomasville.
Yeah, I agree with you there, but I want to say this too. I think maybe they out-athleted Greensboro a little bit too. I think Greensboro, Coach Washington's done a great job. I don't think they had quite the talent level that Thomasville possessed tonight.
I can see where you're going with that one. I'll take it up to on this side. Coach Washington is got them on the right stepping stones. They're on the progress of it. Obviously, you feel bad for the seniors. They're not able to go as far as they had hoped. But you can definitely see that there is growth within this program. They're going to be able to grow from this. They're going to learn from this. They learn true execution tonight, what it looks like, and there's a lot of things that they can definitely grow and get better at.
Jen, let me ask you this, because I know since Coach has been there, he's really tried to get the community involved. This was our game of the week. They were excited. What was the atmosphere like at Greensboro tonight?
Not as great as you would think. Not as great as you would think. Greensboro has their supporting cast, but the crowd wasn't as big, as large as I had hoped, as a lot of folks would have hoped. Thomasville actually had a good crowd showing up tonight, but not to take away anything that what Coach Washington has built over there. He's building something good. They're going to have the support. Tonight just wasn't one of those nights.
Yeah, it wasn't their night, but they are building, and you know how it goes. You win, and the fans will come. Thank you, Jalen. Great stuff.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate that. All right, when we come back, our award-winning Outside the Huddle feature, that's next on Football Friday.
Cheerleaders, and you're watching Football Friday on WVUA 23.
Go Tigers!
Let's go Tigers!
Welcome back to WVUA 23's Football Friday, presented by Alabama Credit Union. Traditional grass football fields for high schools are becoming less common as synthetic turf fields are becoming more and more popular. Stu McCann has more on the debate on whether to go with real grass or synthetic turf in tonight's Outside the Huddle, presented by Premier Service Company.
Remember those school presentations, going before the group to talk about a topic? A common emotion attached to that is lingering dread, waiting for your turn to face the class. Gordo principal Mark Katz is out of his school-age phase, and in 2019, any apprehension he had going before the Board of Education for Pickens County Schools didn't have to do with fear. It had to do with funding.
$1 million, it kind of, got everybody's head spinning.
Katz was looking for help funding a $1 million synthetic turf field for Gordo High School. At the time, the number was roughly 22 times the median family income for Pickens County.
A lot of it was $1 million. You're going to spend $1 million on a football field. And that was easy to discuss with them. We could show them long-term how the board was going to save money.
The project's long-term cost efficiency, savings over 30 years, was a sound argument for the school board. It did not speak to the coaches and players that play on it. Their interest is the time savings calculation.
You're not mowing, you're not lining, you're not spraying, you're not fixing irrigation. All of that has gone away. And
if you're responsible for those things, it can make you a better coach because you're not doing those things.
Mitchell and Lawley are on opposite sides of the synthetic turf experience. Lolly's teams have played home games on natural grass in 22 of 23 seasons as a high school coach. When Mitchell arrived at Hillcrest in 2021, he made getting a synthetic turf field a priority, just as it had been at his last 3 coaching stops.
Now I think we've built in the last 5 years upwards to 100 athletic playing fields within our state. There's been stretches, and I'll say stretches as far as year to year, where 9 out of 10 fields that we've built have been synthetic turf.
Daniel Ruggiero is the co-owner of Game Day Athletic Surfaces and a former director of field operations for a professional baseball team. At one point, he was like some of the traditionalists that push back at the artificial turf trend.
There's a lot of apprehension. I'll even say for me, I had a disdain in how I looked at the synthetic turf industry and how I looked at synthetic turf in general. This is not maintenance free.
With synthetic turf, what you see is what you get. The variables lie in what you don't see. Small pieces of material made of rubber, cork, even coconut shell, which is spread evenly across the surface.
And if you've been on it for 60 hours, you need to groom it, for a 24-hour period to kind of level things back out.
But there is cost to upkeep that field, what does that look like? You can't just go out there and it be good for the next 20 years. We rake it, brush it, I guess is a better term.
Synthetic turf also has a lifespan and needs to be replaced on average every 10 years. That process is $500,000. In deciding whether the investment in synthetic turf, $1 million to install and $500,000 every 10 years, is right, schools need to ask how much play is the playing field getting.
The foot traffic is huge. For instance, if the field is going to house the junior varsity and varsity, it's going to also be the facility that's used for practice, and then maybe the rec league is out there on Saturdays for football season. That's just not a realistic expectation for a natural grass field to hold up to without various sodding requirements and an intense maintenance schedule that a lot of times this is not realistic in a yearly budget for a lot of our high schools within our great state.
Our baseball teams, our softball teams, they can practice out there, our band, on days that it's wet.
One widely held misconception is synthetic turf is not as safe as natural grass. That long-standing belief goes back to the old artificial turf.
When they think of turf, they think of, the old turf at Legion Field, which is basically like, being on green concrete.
I just don't think you're going to get much difference in as far as the ability to plant and cut. I don't think there's much difference.
So to sit and say that one playing surface is safer or inferior to the other, and that's just all there is to it, is just not true.
There is one edge that grass has on synthetic turf. Science cannot handle the heat as well. On the hottest days, the temperature on a synthetic turf field will be as much as 50 degrees more. 95 degrees outside becomes 145 on the field.
July and August, it's hotter. There's no question about it.
They're spending millions of dollars right now trying to figure ways to keep a turf field cooler.
Trends are cyclical. Ruggiero says in the past 2 years, his company has seen a 50-50 split in synthetic and natural grass projects. It's like the old expression says, the grass is always greener on the other side.
Thanks, Stu. Coming up, Ty and Baker will take us behind enemy lines. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Football Friday. I'm Gary Harris. Alabama is an 11.5-point favorite against South Carolina on Saturday, but the Gamecocks are a capable football team, capable of pulling an upset. Ty and Baker takes us behind enemy lines.
Bryant-Denny Stadium got filled with smoke last week as Alabama took a victory over Tennessee. This week, the Crimson Tide will hit the road for another SEC matchup, traveling to Columbia to take on South Carolina. South Carolina, with its playmaking quarterback Lenore Sellers, needs to find a way to utilize and protect him. In last week's game against Oklahoma, he was sacked 6 times, and he has been sacked 25 times this season, which is the second highest total in D1 college football.
South Carolina has not been able to figure out the best way to run Lenore Sellers like they did last year. Mike Shula is now the play caller on offense, which is it has been, I think, a noticeable difference from how former offensive coordinator Dow Loggins was able to get him going in the run game last season. I mean, so far this year, he's only rushed for a little over 100 yards and 1 touchdown, which is about a sixth of what he did last season, rushing for over 600 yards on the ground. They just have not figured out the best way to get him going.
With the recent change of the offensive coordinators, fans have voiced frustration over Mike Shula's play calling. Fans had a public protest on campus this week, taking aim at the former Alabama quarterback and head coach.
There's been a lot that has gone wrong, but the play calling is certainly up there as being, as one of the main concerns. And the fans have been frustrated. There was a Fire Shula chant in the stadium last week. There was a very underwhelming protest on campus at South Carolina with maybe 30 frat guys out there just chanting Fire Shula, but not going to do much. The thing with this offense this weekend, you got to try something different.
Despite the criticism surrounding the offense, South Carolina's biggest challenge this weekend may come from the other side of the ball as they prepare to face a high-power Alabama offense. The Gamecocks' defense will need to find answers for one of the top passing teams.
Typically, for defenses, your first focus is to stop the run, right? But Alabama's a very pass-oriented offense that likes to throw the football a lot, and that's where they're at their best. So I think if you're South Carolina in this game, and you're trying to stop the run out of the gate, but you're also probably more focused in on, okay, let's do what we can to contain Ty Simpson in the passing game, which has been an impossible task for most teams this season. Try to stop him in the passing game, and then you force Alabama to maybe run the ball.
Last year, it was a close game between the two teams. South Carolina rally fell just short at Bryant Stadium. The last time the Gamecocks won over the Crimson Tide was 15 years ago. Local in Tuscaloosa, Tyann Baker for Football Friday.
All right, when we come back, Mackenzie Walter will take us around the SEC when Football Friday continues. Another big Saturday is on tap in the Southeastern Conference. In addition to Alabama and South Carolina, Football Friday's Mackenzie Walter takes us around the SEC.
While the Tide tries to stay perfect in SEC play this Saturday, it's a big week elsewhere in the conference with two matchups between current contenders. Let's take a look around the SEC.
Number 15 Missouri and number 10 Vanderbilt will face off in Nashville at 2:30 on Saturday. Both teams have a lot to prove, with each sitting at 6-1 and 2-1 in SEC play, with the only blemish on their records being Alabama. Missouri's greatest weapon is running back Ahmad Hardy, who leads the SEC in rushing yards with 840. Hardy was on a roll his first 5 games, averaging 146 yards, and seemed to be a Heisman favorite, but he's been held to 110 total yards the past 2 games. Still, Hardy nationally has the second most rushing touchdowns and is third in both rushing yards and scores by a single player. Vanderbilt has its own Heisman hopeful. Quarterback Diego Pavia was electric last week against LSU. He threw for 160 yards and 1 touchdown in the air, but Pavia was at his best running, going for 86 yards and 2 touchdowns. With 438 rushing yards on the season, he not only leads his team in rushing, but he has the second most yards of any SEC quarterback. Another showdown between one-loss SEC teams is number 8 Ole Miss and number 13 Oklahoma. The stakes, just like for Missouri and Vanderbilt, a second SEC loss could take the team out of college football playoff conversation. The Sooners lead the SEC in most team metrics on defense: points per game, and both pass and rush yards allowed. In fact, the Sooners compete with Ohio State for the best defense in the nation. Oklahoma's weakest point may be its red zone defense, which is 10th in the SEC. Oklahoma currently sits at 10th in offense for both yards and points per game in the SEC. However, Oklahoma is one of 5 teams who have scored every time it enters the red zone, thanks to quarterback John Mateer and running back Troy Braylock. The problem has been getting there, with Mateer throwing 6 interceptions, 3 being from the Sooners' only loss to Texas this season. The Rebels seem to be the inverse, with a defense in the bottom half of the SEC and an offense that ranks third in the conference. Quarterback Trinidad Chambliss has been consistent with the help of his offensive line that only allowed 5 sacks on the season. Chambliss threw for 8 touchdowns and only 1 pick. Rebs running back Kewen Lacey contributes the 3rd most rushing yards in the SEC and 10 touchdowns. If Ole Miss can take the win home, it will have a bit of a breather for the rest of the year, while Oklahoma starts its gauntlet to end the season. Heather Dinch's CFP Bubble Watch has both Oklahoma and Ole Miss in the playoffs, so this game will have big implications. That'll do it for Around the SEC. For Football Friday, I'm Mackenzie Walter.
Now we're ready to talk. Alabama's on the road tomorrow at South Carolina. Let's check in with WVUA 23 Chief Meteorologist Richard Scott with your game day forecast for Columbia, Fayetteville, Starkville, and right here at home in Tuscaloosa.
Those local high school football games, no problems at all tonight. Perfect fall weather for some high school football. Let's talk college football. Bama taking on South Carolina and Columbia. That's a 2:30 kickoff. Temperature is 69. We'll be in the upper 60s, wrapping up things at fourth quarter. No chance for rain. Just some good-looking football weather for the Bama game. Auburn game, not so lucky. We've got a good chance for rain at Fayetteville. Temperatures will hover in the low 60s, 11 o'clock through around fourth quarter, so 11:45 a.m. the kickoff there. It's going to be a messy game. So take the poncho if you are traveling over to Fayetteville. Here's our forecast for the Mississippi State games. They take on Texas over in Stark Vegas. That's a 3:15 kickoff. 76, partly to mostly cloudy. No rain for the game, but again, by the time we wrap up the game in the evening hours, they'll be getting close to seeing some showers move on in. But again, the odds of rain for the Mississippi State game will be pretty low. Now, if you got plans for Sunday, here in Alabama, it's going to be a wet day. In fact, if you join us tomorrow night on the news at 10 o'clock, we'll talk all about that local weather forecast. So that's your forecast update. Hope you have a great weekend.
All right. Thank you, Richard. Going to be a beautiful weekend, at least tomorrow. And then Sunday here in Tuscaloosa, we can use the rain. And for Alabama up in Columbia tomorrow, looks like it's going to be great. So it could work out perfect. Alabama goes to South Carolina, gets a win, comes back. And then Saturday night into Sunday, we get some rain. And then we get into the bye week. All right, some other news and notes before we close out Football Friday. Bama volleyball tonight at home loses to Tennessee 3-1. Also, college football tonight. It was Virginia Tech. They've had a tough year. But they beat Cal in overtime tonight, in actually double overtime, in the ACC 42-34. And the Toronto Blue Jays, there are a lot of people saying they might not win a game in the World Series. Well, they've already won one. They win game 1 tonight at home over the Dodgers, the defending world champions. So Toronto takes a 1-0 lead. All right, as you saw in Around the SEC, it's going to be a busy weekend of SEC football. Mackenzie Walter will be in tomorrow night at 10 for all your college football scores and highlights, including extensive coverage from up in Columbia. We'll have highlights and post-game reaction. And then she'll be with you on Sunday night as well, as we have WVUA 23 News at Saturday night at 10 and Sunday night at 10. That's going to wrap it up for Football Friday. We appreciate all our great sponsors making the program possible, and we appreciate you for tuning in. We're going to leave you with some more action from tonight. And a reminder again to tune in tomorrow night to WVUA 23 News at 10 and Sunday night as well. From everybody here at WVUA 23 and Football Friday, I'm Gary Harris. Thanks for watching. Have a great weekend, and we'll be back again next week at 10:30 for Football Friday.